and the entire organization team of ProMFG for giving us the opportunity to present to you. Good morning to everyone. And today I'm going to talk about, leading Industry 4.0 with the connected quality experience, right? So in the morning, there was slight allusion to smart manufacturing by Mr. Suneet from Tata Motors. But then, the topic was very broad. It was primarily focused on skilling, etc. But as you would all appreciate, Industry 4.0 is definitely defining the way future industry is going to work. Okay. Now, why should quality be the topmost priority for Indian companies? Now, this question itself looks very cliched, isn't it? Morning, we had an entire panel speaking about the importance of quality, culture of quality, and how quality plays a defining role in the success of a company. But I'm not here to preach you anything new, but I just want to add a new perspective. And the new perspective has come in because of a very unique geopolitical situation which has been created recently by the pandemic and with all the frictions happening across the globe. And that opportunity is the opportunity to integrate with a global value chain, right? Now, all of us have been hearing in the news that Foxconn setting up a plant in India, Tata Electronics setting up operations in India to serve to Apple, and ACUS setting up, a parts manufacturing setup for Airbus. So all this is in the same direction, which is integrating to the global value chain. Let's look at some data first. Unfortunately, this data is available till 2018. After that, we can just do some extrapolation. So data until 2018 says that our share in the global exports is less than 2.5%. And that too, in the GVC, which is the core area of interest these days, has kind of stagnated from between 2014 to 2018. Okay? Now, a research by ORF, which is a very prestigious research organization, has spoken about that, what are the reasons why Indian companies are not able to take that opportunity to the fullest potential. And the number one challenge they saw was inability to meet quality standards, right? Now, obviously, I'm not here to paint all doom and gloom for the Indian industry. And industry leaders have recognized this as a challenge, and hence, they are putting the priorities in place where quality management is becoming the core of all digitalization initiatives. Okay? So, if you see, number one accelerant in driving digital transformation is quality, and number one outcome customers expect today from smart manufacturing adoption is quality. Guess which is number two? Any responses? Cost reduction. We spoke about cost reduction in the first panel. It has dropped to number two at the moment, right? And this is a data which is a report as late as 2023 by Rockwell Automation. All right, so the value which Quality 4.0 or digitalization of quality brings on table is numerous, right? It's humongous. One is, of course, that quality builds your brand, but it also provides you a lot of tangibles. And I've just got a list of tangibles for you. And this slide, typically I show to my customers, my audience, who are very ROI savvy, right? These days, anyone you meet, they say that digital transformation we will do only when we have ROI in place. So this is a slide for the ROI savvy people. Now, coming back to the crux. And the crux is, why is managing quality is so difficult? And despite Industry 4.0 being around for such a long time, it's almost 7 years, personally me being engaged in my current company as well as my previous avatars, but still quality management has been a laggard so far, right? And Some of the reasons I have listed, I'll just highlight two. The first is interconnected but inconsistent processes across the organization. Okay, let me just demonstrate that with a graphic. I don't want you to look into the details of this graphic. The reason I show you this graphic is that this graphic shows the complexity of the intertwined processes of quality management, because quality is not property of just manufacturing or design or supply chain. It's a mixture of all. And the panel before me spoke about culture of quality. By the way, that's my favorite subject, right? Culture of quality indeed plays a very, very important role, and as rightly pointed out by the panel. Now, if you have such a mess around processes, then how can you expect to have a consistent quality across the value chain without a system in place? Now, going back, second important aspect of the challenge related to quality management is the value chain, which is the suppliers, right? Now, if I consider a typical automotive industry, and I believe that there is a sizable population of automotive experts here, they would appreciate the fact that for an OEM, 70 to 80% value add is happening outside the organization, right? Even for a tier one, there's a lot of value add which happens outside the organization. So supply chain quality is the most critical thing. But what's the problem there? Again, supply chain quality is also intertwined in multiple processes. And there are so many dependencies which makes it difficult to manage supplier quality on Excel sheets, on SharePoints, etc. Right? So that's the point I wanted to make here, that quality management and digitalization of that is a complex subject. And it's important that we do address it appropriately. All right. That's on the enterprise quality part. Now, let's talk about shop floor. So there has been a lot of talk about IoT, right? And our data suggests that despite the penetration of IoT on the shop floor, there is a big challenge managing the quality data still, right? And the reason is that most of the measuring instruments which you see on the shop floor do not talk in OPC UA format, which is the standard communication format, right? So their communication modes are different, and unfortunately in this industry, for a very long time there were no standards. Mitsutoyo wanted to have their own standard, they created their own standard. We were ourselves guilty of creating that. We wanted to create our own standards for communication with our CMM devices, we did that. Similarly, Zeiss, and you look at anyone, everyone kind of talks pretty much without considering that ultimately they have to talk to a common platform, right? So data recording remains a challenge on the shop floor today. And because data recording doesn't happen, data analytics doesn't happen, and since that doesn't happen, no action plans are taken and no process correction happens, right? So this is where Industry 4.0 can help you. One is that it can bring all the processes and all the devices on a common platform. And it, again, we don't want to repeat the mistake what previous generation did. This quality management system, again, doesn't work in isolation. It talks to your ERP system because we believe that a lot of data resides on the ERP systems, a lot of data resides on the CRM systems, PLM systems, as well as the MES systems. Okay, so I wanted to show you some videos here. Unfortunately, they're not working. Yeah, it works now. All right, so the first step for creating Quality 4.0 in your organization is that you should have the ability to acquire data automatically from the measuring devices, right? And this is what we are showing you here, is that we are today acquiring data from hand tools, which are digital in nature. We're acquiring data from machine probes, which are in-process machine probes. And the third example which you see is data getting acquired from a CMM, right? Today we have reached the state of the art of technology where we can acquire data pretty much from any measuring device. Okay. Once you have data acquisition in place, you kind of do away with the problem of scratching your head whether the problem of quality really came from the process, whether it came from the machine, whether it came from common causes like people, material, environment, and tooling, came from vibration, maintenance issues, etc., or the measurement system, right? So today you have the ability, since the data is in the system, you can do slicing and dicing of data to figure out where the real problem came from, and then you have the ability to fix that. Right? And we also have the capability to start predicting what would be the quality of the parts getting produced from a particular machine. Now, since I have very limited time today, I'll focus rest of the remaining 4 minutes of my presentation on some customer success stories. The first one is on Wabtec. Wabtec is on diesel as well as, sorry, it's mainly on diesel locos. There are global customers, and place where they used our QMS solution was primarily on the supplier PPAP process. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, supplier quality plays a very essential role in the overall quality of the product. Now, since you own the product, ultimately the customer holds you responsible for any issue with the product, right? So Wabtec, by the way, they have a manufacturing facility in Bihar. They have an R&D set up in Bangalore. And they have implemented it across the organization. And through systematic digital PPAP process, they have been able to report a reduction in cost of poor quality by almost 30%, mainly on the account of supplier quality. The next example which I have is from a leading car manufacturer in India. Fortunately, they are based out of Pune. We don't have the rights to tell their name. So this is a company where we have kind of worked with them in acquiring critical to quality parameters and also critical to process parameters directly from their machines and measuring instruments. So quickly, the list of equipments which is given from where we are acquiring the data. The benefit the customer is deriving out of that is that they have been able to predict precisely where would the next problem come from and fix that through proactive measures, right? And that is how they are able to produce their engines without defect for numerous number of years. So just to diversify from the industrial segment, which is discrete manufacturing, to consumer usage goods, which is Kimberly-Clark. Now, Kimberly-Clark, you would associate them with paper napkins, Huggies, the most popular product which they have. They have a plant in Chakan again, and they use the same QMS, enterprise QMS platform across the globe. And before we helped them create a common QMS platform, they were on 650 plus different QMS platforms across the globe. So standardized on one, the benefit it gave to them was that the problems which they encounter anywhere on the site, they're able to record that learning, and they're also able to record that learning, that how that problem got resolved, so that other sites can proactively take care of that issue. Next one is again Colgate-Palmolive. They have a factory in Sanand, and again, they are on a journey of worldwide deployment of an enterprise QMS platform. They use it for supply chain issues. They use it for their in-plant, new product introduction challenges. And you would appreciate, all of you, that people who are involved in new product launches, they understand that new products face the most number of problems. If a product is established, then it's kind of a business as usual. Last one is from Rio Tinto. So I was just speaking to my friends from ArcelorMittal, where I spoke about Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto, by the way, is one of the largest installations of QMS system globally, right? Just look at the humongous numbers, 350 sites across the globe connected to one common platform, and they have replaced all paper-based manual processes on quality. All their quality standards, trainings reside on one common platform. And not just the quality part, also the environment, health, and safety. For the metals and mining industry, their number one, I should say, criteria for doing business is that they should be able to do their business in very stipulated conditions which are given by the Environment Ministry, by the government of the day, etc. So for them, environment, health, and safety plays a very critical role, right? All right, so with this, I come to the end of my presentation.